My ear is congested.
Hello. I don't have us up on YouTube yet because I wanted to show people a picture of the definitions. So I can't even tell if people are in here.
Now we're on.
Hello.
We had two waiting. There's Becky. Hello, Becky.
Hi, Becky. Oh, it just popped up. Okay.
Happy Valentine's/Galentine's. However you're floating it. We got our red and black on.
For me, it's been Valentine's for 5 years now.
We went out and we went to a lovely Italian restaurant this weekend because John's working crazy hours. So he's like, I'll take you out this weekend. And I was like, I am getting flowers on Tuesday, right? I am getting flowers, right? And he's like, no. I'm like, I am getting flowers, right? Because I said, I'll go buy them myself. He didn't say anything. I don't get flowers. I know I am. And it always scares me because there's always somebody ringing the doorbell. It isn't like he comes home with them. He gets them delivered. So there's always some stranger at my door. And I'm like, what's that? Because who answers their door nowadays? If somebody comes and rings your doorbell, everyone does the whole, like, hit the floor.
Yeah.
Peek out the window. Who came over and didn't text me and tell me they were coming over? Nobody lets you come over. Hey, Barbie.
Well, I had one very lovely Valentine's Day. I think my kids were like 4. No, they would have been 3, 5, and 7. And I had just a lovely boyfriend at the time. Things didn't work out, although we stayed friends. But he had, for Valentine's Day, he got me this necklace, and it's 3 graduated hearts. And it's the pink gold, the gold, and the silver. It's to represent my kids.
Oh, that's adorable.
So, so even though we didn't work out, it's something I still wear because he explained why he bought 3 hearts. It was for my kids. So that was lovely that year. And he bought me flowers. And that was like my best Valentine's Day out of all of my life.
Valentine's Day is Valentine's Day is Valentine's Day. You get older and you're just like, just give me some flowers. I'm happy with that. I don't want a card because I don't want the paper and the trees. I don't care about that. Hello, Chicago lady. But it's, I'm not opposed to the chocolates either. I'm not gonna lie, I'm not opposed to a box of chocolates. I'll take that. My son calls it the holiday that isn't a holiday. He doesn't believe it's a holiday. My youngest. Like when you get older and when you get a little bit older and you actually get a girlfriend, you better realize she's going to expect something on Valentine's Day. Hey. Oh, yes, we miss Barbie. We all miss Barbie.
Oh. Yeah, I wouldn't do chocolate since I'm doing the whole 30 right now, but today is officially 4 weeks since we started doing this. I've lost 10 pounds. 10 pounds.
That's awesome.
That was so exciting. Oh, my hat keeps falling off. Scooch it up there.
Oh, that is awesome. Congratulations.
Super excited about that.
Oh,
so
good.
Now I've dropped a whole size. So now I'm wearing clothes I haven't been able to wear in a long time.
I love when that happens. That's how that's when you feel it. It's one thing to see it on the scale, but when you go to put something on and you're like
this.
You get excited that you fit into something or that you don't fit into something that you fit into before. You know what I mean?
I pulled a pair of jeans out and I'm like, not going to be wearing these anymore. They're just falling off of
me. The jeans are the best when you put on an older pair of jeans that are really smaller or really bigger that, when you change sizes, the jeans are definitely the best. Because you can't see it all the time in shirts and stuff. The jeans, they're the best.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yep, I was hitching them up while we were walking around the flea market.
And I don't do belts. I probably should because I've got hips and a smaller waist, and to get things over my hips, they don't stay up on my waist. So I probably should do belts, but I hate them.
Yeah, I don't like belts either. Ever since I had kids, I just don't like things on my stomach. So
yeah.
I pull at my jeans all day, then put a belt on.
I wish suspenders were in for women because I'd probably wear suspenders and be okay with it.
All right.
And more coffee.
So I see people trickling in slowly. And we're going to get started because we've got quite a bit, both of us.
Yeah.
Today we were talking about some common glass vocabulary. And we're going to give you guys the difference in some things. And I even have a couple pictures saved to show you. So I'm going to go first. Let me change the layout. There I am. So I answered a couple of questions that people had. And then I also looked up something simply because I had a couple of the items today. So I'm going to show you guys some stuff. The first thing that somebody asked me is, what is the difference between a bone vase and a Jack in the Pulpit vase? And I'm like, and maybe it's bonnet, maybe it's bonnet, maybe it's not pronounced. You're getting an echo? I don't even have a second device on right now.
I do, but it's muted.
Huh. Can you mute for a second, Nikki, and we'll see?
Yeah.
Okay, so are you guys getting an echo now that Nikki is muted? Let me know. So I'm not sure how to pronounce it because the bone vase, it's B-O-N-E, but it's a Scandinavian vase. But I'd never even heard that term before. So I was really confused about why someone was asking the difference between that. And so no echo when she's muted. Huh.
I know, it's weird. It might be the room that I'm in is a little echoey.
And sometimes it just does.
It might be my room space. And I actually have a weird head thing going on, so I can't hear very well. Sorry.
She's sinusy right now.
Yeah, I am.
So I looked it up and it was very interesting. And I completely understood once I looked it up why someone was asking the difference. So a Jack in the Pulpit vase, they were first, the shape of them were first made in 1854 by Stevens and Williams in England. But they didn't call them Jack in the Pulpit vases. Now, in the early 1900s, like around 1900, Louis C. Tiffany made vases with that same shape, and he called them Jack in the Pulpit. So that was the first time that term was used, was in 1900 by Tiffany for his vases. So Stevens and Williams made the shape first. Hi, Kraken. But it was Tiffany who named them Jack in the Pulpit vases. And they're widely flared. They resemble the flower, Jack in the Pulpit. If you've never seen it, you can look them up. They pull down at the front and they're raised at the back. Now, the bone vases are Scandinavian. They have a heavy paperweight base with controlled bubbles. Now, some of them will flare up slightly at the back and down at the front, which is why sometimes it gets confusing, except that the bone vases are going to have that heavy, like paperweight with controlled bubbles at the bottom. So that's going to tell you right now. And the flares aren't near as big. They're going to be more of a rounded flare. I'm going to show you pictures. It's a Seda glass of Sweden, and they produced this vase from the 1950s to the 1977. So there's also a big gap between when the Jack in the Pulpit vases were made, and I think there's still some being made today, but when they were originally made versus when these Scandinavian bone vases were made. So that's another thing that's important to know the difference. Now, here is why it gets confusing. Because if you look these up on Etsy, they are listed as bone vase / Jack in the Pulpit vase.
Okay.
And they are absolutely not Jack in the Pulpit. Fenton produced a vase in the same shape, but they called it tulip. They never called theirs Jack in the Pulpit. So, you know, if you have a Fenton one and you hold it up and say it's a Jack in the Pulpit style, you would be correct. But if you hold it up and you say this is a Jack in the Pulpit vase, you would be wrong. It is a Jack in the Pulpit style, but Fenton called them tulips. So that's the other thing about glass vocabulary. As long as you're not misleading people and everybody understands what you're talking about, it's okay to use a commonly used term. But when you're misleading people and saying a bone vase is a Jack in the Pulpit vase, you're dead wrong, because they absolutely aren't. So Nikki's going to talk about Amberina later. It's another term where as long as people know what you mean, we kind of lump it all in, but there are very obvious differences. So, hi, Rebecca. So, it's glass vocabulary can be really tricky. Plus, it changes over the years. So, I'm going to show you a picture of a Jack in the Pulpit vase from the side so you can see the very exaggerated front and the back. So, turn forward, it would look like the flower. This one is a very vintage one. See, the base is metal.
Oh,
And I
gorgeous.
would bet it glows.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just a picture I pulled off the internet, so I don't know for sure. But this is a Jack in the Pulpit vase. Now this, go back. This is a bone vase. And see how it does go up at the top and down in the front, but it's a circle. There is no Jack in the Pulpit. And look at the base. There's the controlled bubbles, and it looks like a paperweight.
Now, see, I have seen those out in the wild and didn't know.
Yeah,
I just thought they were
Scandinavian.
Yeah, okay.
And here's one with
looks like a lady wearing a hat. Yes.
So there's the sticker. There's your controlled bubbles. And all of the ones I saw, the base was always clear, and this was colored glass on top. See, this one's not near as exaggerated on top. So this is what they more commonly look like. So that is the difference between those, but I didn't even know. So I learned something new. I really appreciate whoever asked that question last week.
Was it Becky? Becky, was that you who asked that question?
Might have been Robert. I don't remember.
Whoever it was, thank you for your question.
Yes, because I learned something new, and that was fantastic. So my next vocab one was swung vases versus stretch vases. And in the very beginning, I heard people using these terms interchangeably all the time. Hi, Leanne. And I was so confused.
Okay.
And I even heard someone, as they're selling a swung vase, call it stretch vase and say it was because it was stretched as it was being blown. And they were dead wrong. They were so wrong. So stretch glass is made when mineral salts are applied before the vase has been shaped, which causes an iridescence as it stretches and a slight crinkling inside the glass.
Okay.
So it is completely different. Its stretch vase is not when they pull the vase out as they're blowing it. That is not a stretch vase. A stretch vase is a chemical that is applied. It is the mineral salts. Now, interestingly enough, carnival glass has the mineral salts applied after. So you get a different effect. But stretch glass, and I don't have any currently to show you guys, but you're going to see a sheen on it that can look kind of like a luster, which is a totally different thing, but it's not. It's when these salts were applied before it was fired and made. So that's what stretch glass is. Swung vases, as we know, are, blown and then allowed. They're swung in a circle. They're allowed to lengthen into, like some of the Viking, the crazy. So swung vases, that's completely different from stretch glasses. And stretch glass can be made in candy jars and all kinds of things. They can be made in vases too. You can find stretch vases, but it's a mineral salt that's applied. So that's the difference between those two terms. They're not interchangeable. Sometimes terms are interchangeable. They mean the same thing. In this case, they do not. So if someone is selling a swung vase and calling it a stretch vase, it's not. They're just wrong. Those two terms are not used interchangeably. They are two totally different things. Swung vases are literally swung to elongate the tops. The next thing somebody mentioned was cut, pressed, blown, or molded. And what is the difference between the terms? So cut glass is ornamented with patterns that are cut out from its surface by an abrasive wheel, and then they are polished. So a good example of that is Bohemian glass, where it's cut to clear. So it's got the case layer on the outside, and then they cut through. We've shown that several times. You know, glass before pressed glass became so popular was clear glass was cut. So it'll be sharper. There's definite differences if you pull up a piece of clear cut glass versus a piece of pressed glass. The edges are going to be sharper, more defined. The ornamentation around it is not going to be soft like the pressed glass is. So that's
Think
what
the
cut glass is.
for pressed glass, and then think crystal when you see cut glass. That's kind of the feel difference. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And cut glass was thicker because you had to cut into it.
Yeah.
So the parts where it's cut are going to be thinner, but it was overall, before it was cut, made as a thicker piece so that it could be cut. Pressed glass is produced by mechanically pressing molten glass into a plain or engraved mold. So you'll get the pattern on it, but the pattern's already cut into the mold, not the glass. And so you can see mold lines. You can see where everything's going to be very uniform because it was pressed into that. Now, your better glasses like Heisey polish the mold lines out. Fenton polished the mold lines out. So the better pieces, the mold lines were polished out and less defined. So you can't always go by that. Now, if it's got
and Heisey was a little different too. I'm sorry, I'm going to interject 1 second. Heisey was a little different. They manually pressed as opposed to mass pressing with other companies. Heisey manually did it. A couple other elegant guys did too, but yeah. Heisey was listed as one that did.
Well, and the thing with the elegant glassware is it always went through more steps than just your plain pressed glass. So your plain depression glass, it went boop and popped it out.
Mm-hmm.
And that was it. That was all that was done to this. But your better glass, I don't have any Heisey here right now, but it would have gone through several steps. So that's another definition that I didn't even plan to cover. But your elegant glassware went through several more steps. And that's why it's elegant glassware. They used a higher quality of glass, but they also did several steps that made it nicer.
Yes.
So blown glassware. So this one is, we talk about this one a lot. We all, as a community, need to stop saying hand blown and mouth blown. We need to stop using those words completely. We need to go to just blown glass because that is the correct definition. It is mouth blown and it is handmade, which is where it's gotten so confusing. But hand blown isn't a thing. You aren't blowing with your hands. The product is handmade, which is why the term hand blown came to be. But it's mouth blown. But experts say blown glass. They never use any other term. And we've been bad about it here too. We use them interchangeably. We all just need to start saying blown glass. That's the appropriate term. And it's made by blowing air down a tube into molten glass and shaking it as it's turning. So there is one term that we've never even talked about when it's a different thing. It's called lathe blown.
Yeah.
Lathe. I think you may have mentioned it one time, but it uses a machine to create the thing, and it's used for things like beakers where you need it to be a specific size. So beakers, chemical measurer things like that. So it's still mouth blown kind of. It's a blown glass, but it's lathe blown. It's not mouth blown. And there's mechanical aspects because it needs to be a certain measurement. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like certain size and weight.
It uses a machine-guided flame to mold the glass instead of heating the glass up and blowing down through a tube. So it's a very specific type of blown glass, but it is the other type of blown glass, and it's called lathe blown, And then that's where you can get beakers and scientific measurement kind of things. And then molded glass is the exact same as pressed. There is no other definition. The words are used interchangeably. And I did several different things trying to research to see if there was anything else. Molded is the same as pressed. And some companies called their glass molded, some called it pressed. But as far as glass experts are concerned, there's no difference. So the next thing somebody asked me, and they commented after the video, and I appreciate anybody watching it back and commenting later. That was nice. They asked me about Ring of Fire, and Ring of Fire isn't something you can show very well online, but I was able to get a picture pulled up so that you can
There
see
you go.
that.
Oh no, it went away.
So there's a very good view of what a ring of fire is going to look like when you hold your milk glass up to natural light. So that is what a ring of fire is going to look like on the edges of your milk glass. And it's going to be almost exclusively pre-1950 milk glass. Because in the 50s is when they changed to the heavier Westmoreland type of milk glass with no transparency at the ends. And it had to do with the way they made it and the things they added to it. So they added iridized salts, which they stopped using in the 50s on milk glass. Now, we've talked about in past shows what's the difference between milk glass versus white glass. And so we know that no tableware was made with milk glass. That was all white glass. But if you hold up like a Monax plate, it is going to have that ring of fire because of how thin it was made.
Yeah.
So the rule of thumb is that if it has the ring of fire, it's made before 1950.
Oh, there you go.
But it was Victorian glass was made differently too. So Victorian milk glass a lot of times does not have that ring of fire. So it's like between 1900 and 1950 is when you're going to get that ring of fire on milk glass. Kind of as a rule of thumb. Not always, but for the most part. Hi, Bonnie. And then the last one I'm going to cover, sorry it took so much time, is Compote, and Taza. So we would call this a compote. And here's another evolution of English. And if you're holding it up and everybody knows what you mean, it doesn't matter. It's not that important. Because compote, the word compote, came from the word comport in like the 16th century. So they can be used interchangeably.
Yes, milk glass and Pyrex glass. Yeah, Pyrex is borosilicate glass. And that's what you'll find in Pyrex and like some of the Corningware dishes that we eat off of, some of the Fire King, the glass bake. That's
because milk glass cannot go into the oven.
Yeah.
Milk glass cannot go into the oven, but Pyrex, the glass bake, those are specifically made a different way so that they can go into the oven. So Pyrex is not milk glass.
Yeah.
So a comport is more bowl-shaped. So technically, this would be a comport because it's more bowl-shaped. Hi, Angela. A compote varies in shape, can look like a vase or a candy dish. So, you know, what would you call this? Is it a comport or a compote? But we call any dish that is shaped like this, that's bigger than a sherbet dish, we call it a compote. And that is commonly accepted. And it's just fine to use that term. So comport and compote can be used interchangeably, but comport's just a word that's fallen out of fashion. We don't use it anymore. And it used to be that antique dealers thought that a compote had to have a lid. But then when going back through glass sales books, the catalogs, they realized that glass makers were calling compotes that didn't have lids. So that fell out of fashion too. And then a Taza, it's a Tazza. It's an Italian term for a shallow-stemmed footed vase or cup, but it's generally decorative and not made out of food safe materials. So it could look like this, but it wouldn't be meant to put food in, where, you know, this was made to put candy in.
Mm-hmm.
So those were my turns. We'll go to Nikki to go through hers.
Okay, so I'm going to cover black glass and black amethyst glass first. Excuse me, because I got into a little debate with with one of the antique dealers this weekend when he kept calling all black glass black amethyst glass. Not true. And all black glass is not black amethyst, and all black amethyst is not black glass. There is literally almost, let me use the term almost, no such thing as true black glass. There's almost no such thing. So black amethyst appears when you hold it up to a light, like the really bright light that's starting to come through my window right here. It'll look purple. It'll look like the gemstone amethyst, okay, up to a strong white light. So think when you put on your black light and you just see that little purpley shine, that's what you're going to see when you hold up a piece. Now, I ran around my house and held up every single piece of black glass that I own, and every single piece was black amethyst. I did not know that that was possible, but every single piece was black amethyst. So now black glass itself has been in use since the 1600s here in America and in Europe, when it was discovered that darker glass made for stronger bottles. So they used it to make bottles. So if you ever come across a black bottle, pick it up, because they're going for bank and they're really, really old. So pick them up. It was stronger, and the reason why it was stronger is they included iron oxide into the mix. Then the term black glass wasn't even used until 1740, when an American newspaper ad said, "Oh, look, black glass." Black glass really gained a lot of popularity in like the 30s with the Art Deco movement. Black glass was in for everything. Now in mid-century modern pieces and modern pieces, they form it using silica, soda, lime, and then they add, once it's heated, they add in iron, copper, cobalt oxide to achieve that black color. But most of your black glass is going to be one of three colors. It's going to be a super duper dark green, it's going to be a super duper dark brown, or a super duper dark purple. It's going to be one of those, or a combination thereof, with these other chemicals kind of mixed in. So think of a wine bottle, to all my wine aficionados out there. You get a wine bottle, they're usually green. It has a lovely red, dark, purpley Merlot in it, which looks purple when you pour it into your regular glass, but when it's sitting in the green, it looks black. So have some fun if you own some black glass. Run around your house, hold it up to the sunlight as it's coming in through the window, because you'll be able to see it that way. And you'll be able to see if you have black glass or amethyst glass. So if it shines purple, it is black amethyst. And these pieces are harder to find because it was a little bit more expensive to make. So there's the debate. What about the really dark red? Yeah, it's the same kind of thing. Most people screw this up, and as somebody who does art on the side, it irritates people. Go, oh well, black is the absence of color. No, black is all the colors. All the colors. Sit down with a little tube of watercolor paint and have fun with all the colors. Adding all the colors, you'll end up with black eventually. So black is all the colors, whereas white is the absence of color. It's just some really fun. See, if you have some real black glass, that is really unheard of. Real black glass. There are some out there. There's I'm probably mispronouncing this massively. Hyaline. I talked about it last weekend when I was talking about Bohemian glass. It's a different type of black glass. It's a different way of making it. I didn't really look that up to go into it, but it was one of the things that somebody had brought up. So if you have real black glass, awesome.
What about that Fenton salt and pepper shaker I had, where one was milk glass, one was black glass?
I don't know, but I held up.
Milk glass be black glass?
Yes, there is black milk glass.
Yeah.
There is black, red.
That's what that said.
Yeah, black, blue, pink, and I might be missing a color. But there is black milk glass. So if you find black milk glass, you really, really hit the jackpot, because black milk glass is very hard to find. Yeah, I have a Fenton. I held up my Fenton because I was curious. I was like, Fenton surely can't be black amethyst. It's black amethyst. I have a Fenton swung vase, or actually it's a molded vase. It's a bud vase, and it is black amethyst glass. And I had one piece that I knew, or two pieces that I knew were black amethyst because they were thinner. And you'll also notice that a lot of black glass is thicker and it's heavier, and that's why, because of all the stuff that they added. It'll be heavier than some of your other stuff. Hey, Kaz. So the next one I went over, and here in this community, we're all saying it wrong. Every single one of us is saying it wrong. But we've kind of come to adopt that, oh, well, we know what that person's talking about. And that is the difference between flash, stained, and cased. So every time somebody holds something up and goes, oh, it's flashed, no, it's not. Every time somebody holds something up and goes, oh, the flashing is coming off, that's not flashed glass. That is stained glass. Flashed glass, you've all been to Dairy Queen, right? Maybe when you were a kid, you get the dipped ice cream cone where they took the soft serve and they dipped it into like the chocolate or the butterscotch or the strawberry. The butterscotch was my favorite. That's flashed glass. So it's one color glass, usually a clear colored piece, that is then usually dipped. It can be painted on, but it's usually dipped into another color of glass. And it makes a thin coating layer of glass on top of that. Now, glass doesn't flake. You can't scratch glass off. So think your cuts are clear. Your Bohemian glass, that's flashed glass. That is true flashed glass because it's dipped, and then they cut away that outer layer to expose the clear layer underneath. Very cool. Oh, I'm sorry about that.
The reason that they stopped using stained was the glassmakers stopped using that term when stained glass went into church windows everywhere.
Yeah, it came confusing.
People were getting confused. But the process is called staining when the color is applied and can't come off.
And
that is a stained piece of glass.
And it's chemical, and it's fired after they do that. There's not an extra process, and it's cheaper. It's the way to get glass to look like flashed glass. It's a cheaper way to do it.
So you dump it in water, not knowing it.
Yeah.
And it starts to come off.
And then you realize it's stained glass and it's not flashed glass. So the King's Crown is probably the one that we always say, oh, it's flashed glass. No, it's stained glass. Most of your fairy lamps that have that coloring on, especially the red ones, that's stained glass. It's not flashed glass. So Bohemian glass kind of falls into that flashed glass, whereas stained glass is pretty much everything else that comes along after that. The other,
it's another one where if you use the correct term, people won't know what you're talking about.
Yes, yes.
So a lot of times I'll say an applied color. So this was an applied color.
Yeah.
So then people know.
And then case glass is different.
So confusing.
Case glasses, you'll actually see, and I had a cobalt vase that I'd shown where it's clear and then there's cobalt. So you'll see the layers of the glass in there as a case glass. And that's 2, sometimes 3, but usually 2 different colored pieces of glass laid on top of each other. It's almost like sandwich. So you'll have clear, and then in the middle will be the colored piece. So that's the difference. So when someone says it's cased glass, that's what they mean. Really important to know is you really want to know them when I'm trying to help people list things on eBay or out there on Macari or any of those other sites. And in case person who comes at you and goes, you're wrong, and you can go, well, yeah, I know, but this is just the term that everybody uses, and I know that's what it is, or to use to make it sound a little bit more like you know what you're talking about, kind of thing. Okay.
Well, and it helps to know that people use these different things interchangeably. So when you are buying online, if you're buying on eBay or Etsy, you can look closer at the piece of glass.
Yeah.
And know for yourself what you're buying and ignore the terms that people are using.
Yes.
So it just helps to know.
Yes. Now, the biggest pet peeve, and this is a big pet peeve of both Claudia and mine. Big pet peeve is Vaseline glass and uranium glass. They are not the same thing.
Yep.
And don't let anybody tell you they are.
Interchangeable. No, no, no.
Okay? Don't let anybody tell you they're the same thing. Now, Vaseline glass is a newer term, and it dates from the 1950s, right? It is a subset of uranium glass because it glows under an ultraviolet light, all right? But you could say that, okay, fine, then cadmium is too, and so is manganese, and so are all these other things, the selenium. That Vaseline glass is different. So Vaseline glass is only glass that is going to be yellow in color. All right. It was originally called canary glass. And when you see a real piece of Vaseline glass, you will understand why, because it's canary yellow. Okay. I don't even have a piece. It's canary yellow, people. And it was called Vaseline in the 50s because it looks like Vaseline. So think of Vaseline, the petroleum product Vaseline. That's kind of what you're thinking of when you think of Vaseline glass. All right. Now, uranium is an older and broader term signifying that uranium was used in the process of making the glass. There are more subsets to this. Think custard glass, Burmese glass. That's uranium glass, but they have their own terms. You wouldn't call a piece of Burmese uranium glass, so why are you calling a piece of Vaseline glass uranium glass, or a piece of uranium glass Vaseline glass? The more you know, people.
But if you're on eBay, you will see it all the time. Green pieces called Vaseline. And they're not.
They're not Vaseline.
All Vaseline glass is uranium glass.
Yes.
But not all uranium glass is Vaseline glass.
And that's what makes it confusing. All right, now here's another interesting one. There are many different types of Amberina. We've been using the term Amberina to explain any color that graduates here on the YouTube community, the vintage community, out there in online communities, and even in a lot of your vintage shops and everything else. Everybody calls it Amberina. It's not. But it's become an accepted term that everybody kind of knows what you're talking about, all right? True, real Amberina is made with gold. Amberina that we're usually showing you is made with cadmium. There's the difference. So true Amberina. Remember how Claudia and I said back when we were doing colored glass, we're talking about colored glass, that they use gold in the making of red glass? Because when you heat it to a certain color, at a certain temperature point, that gold turns red. That's how they get Amberina glass. So Amberina glass, true Amberina glass, make sure I got the right page so I'm saying this right, contains gold. The reheating process brings out some of the gold suspension and gives it the red color. Now, true Amberina glass was made between 1883 and 1900s. And with the color going from amber on the bottom to red on the top. That was usually the norm. Then you have reverse Amberina, which is they flipped it. Reverse Amberina, which is really cool. It is. Reverse Amberina will be red on the bottom and amber on the top. So they only heated a certain portion of it just to bring out that red color. Oh, good. And I am not sure. I didn't find this anywhere. I'm going to assume that maybe it does fluoresce under a light. I am not sure if true Amberina actually does. I don't have a piece. It's an antique, so I can't speak to whether or not it actually fluoresces, and I didn't find anything necessarily that said one way or the other. It was just something I happened to find when I was researching flash stained and case glass. I happened to see it on this one site. Then there's Ruby Verde. I want me some Ruby Verde. I'm just going to say this. If I find it, and I know I've seen it, but one of these days I'll own a piece. Ruby Verde was introduced around 1890. Ruby Verde is Vaseline glass or canary glass and ruby glass. So you'll have this ruby kind of, usually it's on the top, and then the bottom is this canary yellow color. That's Ruby Verde. Then you have Ruby Amber. Ruby Amber is ruby plated inside. Now you're all saying, hold up a second. What the devil is plated? What is plated? I don't know. Why are you doing this to me? You're throwing me another term. Plated is pretty much the exact same thing as saying flat, real flashed glass. It's another color of glass that's just kind of dipped over, and they call it plated, which to us makes much more sense than saying that it's flashed. Because we have silver plating. We understand that. Yeah. So that might be an easier term for a lot of people to wrap their heads around. So Ruby Amber it's an amber piece, but then inside they put the ruby, and it's a very interesting look as well. So Amberina that we call Amberina nowadays is really just the use of cadmium to make something a little bit more yellow, and that cadmium fluoresces. And there's cadmium yellow, there's cadmium red, there's cadmium orange. These are regular colors that are used, paint colors. So the more you know, people. It's actually cadmium, not Amberina, although it's an accepted term and most people won't squawk about that one. The only other thing I was gonna Oh, does she? Ooh, that's cool. If you have them like that and it has a stripe of red, whether it be on the top or on the bottom like that, that's some cool stuff. That's real true Amberina. And that's really cool. Flame working and lamp working. They're pretty much the same thing. If you list on eBay, you may have come across that term when they ask you, what's the production style? And lamp working will be there. It's pretty much used in blown glass pieces. It's an extra step to reheat the piece, and they use tools to attach or move pieces around, or to do caning, which is, these are other terms, and latticino, these are other very fancy glass terms. They're all Italian. So it's a little bit different. Fire polishing, yeah, they use it to make it's also referred to as glazing, so it's the same thing, other interchangeable terms. Claudia talked about Heisey using fire polishing in one of their steps to get rid of it's just to make the glass nice and shiny and clear. It's a different polishing step. And pontil or ponti, in case some of you don't know what that term means, it is a circular piece on the bottom. It's how you usually know that a piece is a piece of blown glass, because you'll see it on the bottom. It could be messy. It could be polished. You might not even see it. Like in Murano pieces, 9 times out of 10, you don't even know it's there. There are others that you'll see just this weird circle on the bottom. It's flat and it's a weird circle. Well, that means it was blown glass. And the absence of mold lines that go up and down the side. So the more you know, peoples, the more you know. That was it. That's all I'm going to say on this. And if there's questions, guys, throw them in there.
One more thing with the Amberina is that each company had a different name for that.
Yes.
So Viking called it persimmon.
Yes.
So if you go through and look at like catalogs and what we are calling Amberina, you'll see every single glass company called it a different thing. And but it is acceptable now to call them all. If they shade from orange to red or red to yellow, or if they have those shades in the piece of glass, we call it Amberina because everybody knows what you're talking about.
Yeah, but it makes you sound a little bit more, if you get it and you're out in it at a glass show, at an antique store, and somebody gets all high and mighty on you and says, no, that is not Amberina. And you're like, oh yeah, I know. Amberina is an antique. This isn't Amberina. It's cadmium. That's what fluoresce is. Then you don't feel like you just got broadsided by somebody who's telling you you're wrong and you don't know why.
All right, you want to start the sale or do you want me to today?
You go ahead and start. I'm going to grab a sip of something.
Because you talked for a bit, so I'll let you help me break it. Okay, I've got some gorgeous pieces. If you guys have not seen my preview video, I had such good luck at the flea market. There was gorgeous glass. So the very first thing, Westmoreland. And this is a different shape than I've had before. I've had the low squatty wedding box types. And I also learned something interesting, that on Westmoreland, the grape pattern is much more pronounced and you're able to feel it a lot better than the grape pattern that Indiana Glass did, which their grape pattern was very flat. So Westmoreland's grape pattern is going to be much more pronounced, but it's so pretty.
I love it.
No chips, no cracks. Of course, your Westmoreland, your WG is in the bottom there. And there is not a lot of wear to the gold. It's in really, really good shape. It's just this pretty shape, too. No damage to the point. And a lot of nice detail through here. So no chips, no cracks. I couldn't even find any flea bites at all. It's all nice and smooth.
That's how you know someone treasured that piece.
It's this big. So with the lid on, 5 inches. Without the lid, it's only 2 inches. So the lid is bigger than the bottom. And it is going to be $15. Number 6. $15 for the Westmoreland Milk Glass Candy Dish.
And we all know how we feel about Westmoreland glass. We love Westmoreland glass here.
And my second piece,
you moved yourself. I did it earlier too. She got a cool record collection. We all saw it.
And a lot of cat hair, I'm sure.
Nope, just saw the records.
So I am only bringing you guys clear glass if it's exquisite.
Yeah.
And this pattern is.
Oh, you got cracking for number 6.
Awesome. Thank you, Kraken. And Kraken, did you just start a second channel? Because if you didn't, then I subscribed to some weirdo. Hopefully it's really you.
I love it.
Okay, so this is the Wakefield pattern. And can you see the different shapes here on this? It's got this flat bit. Oh, it's so good.
That's my favorite bit.
The square bottom. We all love a square bottom.
We do.
And it's got the Westmoreland glass, the WG, right in the very center. And then it comes up to the crimping here at the top, but it's got like a thumbprint pattern first. And then there was an actual pattern put into this before they crimped it. Now, I believe these pieces were pressed, and then this was heated up to do the crimping after it was pressed. So these are not uniform, and each piece will be slightly different, if I'm remembering correctly.
Oh, it's gorgeous, though.
Isn't it?
It's so cool.
So beautiful. And it stands 5.5 inches, but at its widest point, 8 inches. So the ruffles come way out. So a nice amount of candy kisses would fit in here. And happy Valentine's Day, you guys.
Yes.
Because I won't have sale tomorrow, so I won't see you tomorrow. So I'm telling all of you today. Yeah. So it's beauteous. I love it. It's, a nice sturdy piece because it's Westmoreland. $20, number 14. $20, number 14. And those are my first two.
And I love that she has heart cards today.
I love that.
Okay, I got a little piece from my personal collection because I found me a cameo print of Lady Sheffield, and she has taken the place behind me that this used to occupy. So I'm going to offer this up. I'm not going to offer it up. It's a flat price. I'm offering it to you guys if you'd like it. Oh, congrats. It's Happy Valentine's Galentine's. Whatever you do, you do you. Always say that. So the little silhouette, and it's got the bubble, a little silhouette with the glass. It is the reverse painting. It is a coach. I have used it because I thought it was kind of cool that it looked like kind of a little bit of a creepy picture, like they're escaping something because the whip is flying, or maybe they're in a rush to get to the inn. Because that's what that looks like right there, like a little pub. And it gives you directions as to which way. So maybe they need a drink really bad. I don't know. And then it has the picture and the scene behind it. I love these. I think they're really cool. This is a little guy.
I love those too.
It is 5x4. And most of the scenes I don't really dig, but this one I did because it can be misconstrued. You can say, oh, it's kind of creepy. Oh, it's kind of pretty. It's up to you to decide.
Yeah, it's not the typical man-woman. Because a lot of those are, the men-woman and the woman in the bell dress. And yeah.
So this one's a little different, which is why I dug it and why I picked it up. Anything that's a little offbeat. And if you're interested in this, guys, it'll be $15, number 87. $15, number 87 on this baby. Okay.
And the price on those has skyrocketed at the antique store.
I know. I don't see them out and about anymore. I used to see them occasionally. That is the only piece that I've ever seen out in the wild. And I've been to antique stores and thrift stores. Some of you might find them. I just never seem to find them. It's the only piece I ever found. Okay. Up next, I have a piece of, because it's Valentine's Day, I had to bring at least one piece. I have two, a piece of pink and a piece of red because it's Valentine's Day. Now I might be wrong, but from what I saw, it was Fostoria Fairfax, and it could be a blank. It would have been maybe etched, would have, but it's the handles. Look at the handles, they're so cool. I love it. And this is another one that I'm pretty sure it is Fostoria because there's no mold lines. We talked about the fire polishing.
Yeah.
This is super crystal clear. But it's that light, lovely little pink shade. Now, these are Bonbon Dishes. And you would have put little, Rocher Ferriers or your Merci chocolates. Your pretty fancy little chocolates would have gone on this. And there's no reason why they can't today. And you sit down in front of you and you enjoy your chocolates off a little Bonbon Dish. But I have seen a lot of these were etched. So when we say blanks, this is another term that I had looked up. Ooh, really? That's awesome. the blanks are something that was not, it's not completely finished. They did the piece, and then somebody would come and buy these pieces and they would etch them. They would use a chemical etching process, or they do a transfer on them. Usually these were etched in the Depression era. So not a big guy, very small guy. If you're interested in the little piece of, pretty sure Fostoria Fairfax line, Depression pink, it's hard to see. $8, number 74. $8, number 74 on that baby. And those are my two.
The clarity on that was really nice.
So
Kraken,
pretty.
I got you for both of my first two pieces. Okay, so my next one is so pretty. It's the Carnival glass.
Oh, glass.
And it's the emerald green. Do you see that green? Oh, it's so good. It's so good. So it's not a very tall guy, but it's got a lot of glass here. It is at its highest ruffle 4 3/4 inches, but at its widest point almost 6 inches. So it's very wide. It's gorgeous, 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 gorgeous. And the guy that I purchased it from thought that maybe it was Northwood. When I looked it up, I couldn't decide definitively if it was Northwood, but it did have the look of a lot of things that were labeled Northwood.
It looks like Northwood's rays. Yeah.
If it isn't Northwood, it's one of those companies, one of the older. Yeah, it's just so beautiful.
It's an antique.
Yep.
True antique.
So this is the original Carnival glass, not the remakes that they did in the 70s. And the iridescence on them is just slightly different. And when you see enough of the pieces, you can start to tell. I couldn't in the beginning, but now I definitely can. So this one is going to be $30, number 2. $30, number 2. And you just do not see that green very often.
No.
It's so pretty. I love it. I love emerald green. And my next piece, oh, you guys.
This piece is gorgeous.
It's this peacock blue wall pocket. It's a wall vase. There's where you hang it. It's got a hole ground into it for hanging. No chips, no cracks. There's very little wear to the gold. And I'm trying to feel. There's no chips at all, but trying to see if there's any. I think that's just the glass. So I don't even think there's any flea bites. And then it's got this pattern on it. And it does have a bit of black swirled through. Do you see that? That's not crack. That's black color swirled through the glass.
Oh, I'm in love with this so much.
Swirls down through here. See the swirl?
Oh.
It is 6 3/4 inches long. It's so beautiful.
It is
beautiful. And I could only find one example. Hi, Caroline. One example of this, and it recently sold for $90 on eBay, and it was marked as Czech glass from the 1920s.
I can see it being Czech, yeah.
Yeah, and it feels like it's Czech glass.
Yeah.
But if it's not an antique yet, it will be an antique within this decade. So it's gorgeous. Gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous. It is going to be $40, number 18. $40, number 18. And those are my two.
I love that piece. It would look so lovely in my living room. Just saying, that's the color of my wall in my living room. Okay. Up next, I found this weekend. I thought it was awesome. It's a different piece of Indiana. I've never seen this type of little basket. Now, the person I bought it from had it listed as a lily. That does not look like a lily to me. I'm going to say maybe a sunflower. That's where I'm leaning on this. Sunflower. And it has, I love this on the bottom, this 3D with the little bumpy bumps on the bottom, not on the inside. So the inside is all smooth. The outside is where all the texture is. It is an avocado green piece. I love the little swirly handles. Oh, it's amazing. There's no condition issues with this, and I am leaning to the fact that this piece up on the top could have been blown in because of the nice little whoops. They did a gorgeous job. This bottom piece does have the little mold line, so it's not completely all molded. So these might have been kind of applied. I'm not sure. They might have stretched it after the molding process. I can't tell you, but that's what it looks like, just to the eye. So it's a nice little tiny baby. He's not super tall. He's tall. He's about 7.5 to 8 inches if you go up to the tippy top from him. And I just thought for the upcoming, we've got St. Patrick's Day and Easter and spring and summer, this was just a really, really pretty little piece of glass to show off. All right. So if you're interested in the Indiana flower bowl basket, call it what it is, it'll be $15, number 78. $15, number 78 on this baby. I'm sorry, I'm hiding from the sun. I have my window shade kind of pulled, but obviously not all the way. That's not a good thing. Okay. Up next, I have a piece of blue glass. I only have one of these. I only have one.
It's pretty.
But I am now not against picking up just one candlestick holder. Even though sometimes we like pairs of things, I think you can get away with just one. Sometimes you just have a table that just needs one. But this is I love this color. This is kind of like the blue. It's almost along the same lines as the Viking Blue Neek. I'm looking for my Viking piece. I don't see it. It's along that colorway line. So it would blend in really nice with Viking pieces. I'm pretty sure this is not Viking. I'm not sure who made this. It is super, super clean. Really good shape. No condition issues whatsoever with my little blue candle holder. And it'll be $8, number 89. $8, number 89 on this little guy here. And it was a Matsu.
I think I want that to be my next rainbow. I think I will buy the individual ones as I find them this summer and do a rainbow.
I think that's awesome. I love single ones.
Oh, and I got to show you guys this. I already drank all of my juice, but my niece, when we were at the flea market, bought me a new uranium glass. It's one I'd never seen before. It's in this cool barrel shape. Not for sale, but it is federal glass.
Oh, that's fun.
And apparently they made them in clear also, and they're hard to find, which would be why I'd never seen one before. But I had to show you guys because it's super cool. All right. So my next is white glass, because we've learned these aren't milk glass. It's a pair of drinking glasses in this pineapple pattern. I could not figure out who made these. They were not in my book. So I don't know who made them. But no chips, no cracks, nice and clean, no stains. They're this size. Super pretty. And at this point, I am not buying glassware unless I would like to keep it if it doesn't sell. Yeah. So I will not have glassware anymore unless it's stuff that I really love. So for both of these white glass kind of pineapple pattern tumblers, it's $8. $8, number 10. Those just fun.
I love that.
And guys, did you like the glass vocabulary? Like, do you like that? Would you like us to add that in as a regular show, or do you just want to hear about glass companies? So let us know in the comments if you like that, we can add it in once a month, or if you didn't like it at all, we'll drop it. We'll do it again. I learn new stuff, so I love that.
I did too. Yeah.
My next item is a little made in Taiwan toothpick. So the glass isn't like, it's not very clear. It was just a little piece that was made in Taiwan. Oh, Kraken loves it.
Yeah.
So if you collect toothpicks or if you collect blue glass, it's just a nice little piece to pop in. No chips, no cracks. And it is just going to be $6, number 8. $6.
Okay, I'm glad you like that.
Number 8.
Yeah, and that would be nice.
I saw some of these on Etsy, that were listed as vases. These are
Yeah.
drinking glasses. They're not vases.
But the
All
blue
right,
piece
those are
would
my
fit in
two.
nice with if you all have little bits of blue depression glass. It's almost coming across as that color. Okay, last week I talked about it. I talked about if anybody had seen Tudor House's post on Instagram for the milk glass vases. So I found some. I found a matching set of milk glass vases, and the candle's a little big, but I'm going to show you what it looks like. So, and it doesn't really, this candle doesn't really fit in there. So you have the milk glass vase, you pop in the black candle. This candle is way bigger than the vase, as you can see, so it doesn't completely do it justice. These are hand-done candles that I get by me. So it looks amazing when they're all lit up. And you have a black, I think red would be fabulous too in these. So it's just a different use for all of these that we see all over the place. I know they still kind of look like, they think it's a really different look for, or use for these bud vases that we see all over the place. Pop candles in them, change them out for the holidays. And now I have a matching set to hand you to give you if you're interested in them. You'll wow your friends. People go, where'd you get those candlesticks? And you're going to go, oh, it's like a Pinterest thing. It was really cool. And you can tell them where you found it. So these guys are not very tall. These are the smaller ones. They're 6 inches high. And when it comes to, we were talking about the Ring of Fire, there is one, it's very slight, and it's up at the top here. So these are older pieces. They were really dirty too. And I cleaned them. I cleaned with my dirty bacteria water. Clean. You know that I still cannot drink my water. I still cannot cook with my water.
Serious?
Because the bacteria count is still off. So I still have polluted water from 2 water main breaks from that freezer. So it's really irritating. So yeah, try brushing your teeth with a bottle of water sitting next to the sink. You're like,
I've had to do it before. That is not fun.
It's not, because you get used to doing things a certain way. So anyways, back to that. I used a watered down bleach to get into these. Very, very watered down, because when I dumped it out, there was actually a dead spider inside. Wasn't expecting that. So I rescued them, people. That's what I'm saying. I rescued them. So if you would like the milk glass vases that you can use as candlestick holders. Yeah, it is. It's just like camping. Yeah, it's disgusting. I hate it. So for the set of 2, $10 for the pair. There's $5 a piece, and you'll have new, awesome, modern candlesticks that are actually vintage, and you save them getting thrown away. Okay, so that's my first baby. Okay. Second, I know I feel like I'm in Flint, Michigan myself. That's kind of what I feel like, and it's really disturbing. Okay, I have a set of 4 of these babies. These are rock sharp crystal paisley. They are really gorgeous. These are paisley design. I'm going to try my best to get the pattern. The etching pattern is probably not going to show up. I'm going to say it's almost like a leaf, like a little bit of a laurel leaf. They call it paisley. There are a couple of different types and styles of this one, but this one has the octagonal, and then the stem, the little twirly stem, and then the base is etched as well, and it has that.
Amazing.
6 1/4 inches tall. These will hold about 4 ounces, so it's more of like a cordial style. They have them that are slightly bigger, that are wine glasses as well. They had a whole line of these. These are going for bank on replacements.com. The price, I have 4. Like I said, I have 4. They're all in the exact same condition. I'm not going to hold up all 4 because I will drop them. So there's 2, and then I'll grab the other 2. And there's the other 2.
And these are perfect if you want to do a little wine tasting with 3 of your friends, or if you just have a book club and you do smaller amounts of wine so you can sip it throughout the evening and try different things. This is perfect for that. Wine and cheese tray with several different kinds of wine. It's the best. The best.
And I cannot, I'm a wine drinker. I love my wine. Yes, a large shot glass, totally. I hate holding things by the stem. I feel very odd with it, but for some reason, these are a little bit more, like I'm always holding them like up here when you're not supposed to do. But these are a lot easier because they have this little octagonal crystal piece, and every inch of this is decorated. I mean, you can't even see it, but back here, let's see if I can get my camera to focus on it. No, in here, there's another little round piece, and then this other little gradations that go up. It's just, the whole piece is decorated from top to bottom. So I've talked about them long enough. Maybe some of you got to go and look them up online. I know, right? They're really going for bank. So for 4 of them, all 4 of them, it's going to be $45, number 85, and that is a killer, killer, killer price. So $45, number 85 on these guys. And I don't always go by replacements.com, but they help you figure out the pattern, the style, what, if somebody went and bought them off their site, what they'd be going for. But I figured I like to bring you guys fancy stuff every now and again. So that's my 2.
All right. So I found my first Compote snowball. It does not have the Compote sticker. Look how clear this glass is. Look,
I love Compote. You can see your face.
So it's a Compote tea light. I think everybody's probably pretty familiar with these snowball tea lights. It's gorgeous. It is massively heavy. These are so heavy. But is it Compote? Is it Sweden? I can't remember.
I think it's Sweden. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's Sweden.
But so cool. It was filthy.
It is cool.
And I got it because I picked it up, put it back down. I'm like, there's no way. Because it was so dirty, I couldn't tell. But pretty sure it's Compote. They used a sticker, but this clarity and the weight tells us that it's most likely Compote. And it is going to be $12, number 16, for the snowball. $12, number 16. I have a piece of amethyst glass, but has condition issues, which I did not see in that dark building we were in for the flea market. So the price is going to be lower than I would normally charge for amethyst glass because of the condition issues. Kathy, did Kathy sell it for the price I did? Do I have it priced too high or price too low?
I just think you had it priced perfect, but I know.
It's this picture in Poli style. I don't know that it is in Poli, but it's in Poli style with these really vicious hobnails. The first 3 rows of the hobnails are in perfect condition. It's the condition issues of the hobnails when we start to get up higher. They've been whacked against something. So you've lost points on the hobnails when you get up into these 2 rows. So I just want everybody to be aware of that. It has some condition issues. So no cracks, no chips on the rim. It's got its applied handle. It's this big. So it's bigger than a creamer, smaller than a pitcher. It's 6 inches tall. And the color is gorgeous. Gorgeous. That's why I picked it up. It's only going to be $12 since it's got some issues. $12. And those are my 2.
I love the weird like sea creature vibe that piece is getting off. I love that.
Absolutely, sea creature vibe. Oh, great, Kathy. Kathy's here. Hello, Picasso Cat.
Okay, my next piece is the most organically unusual piece of glass I've ever picked up, and I'm in love with it. So I'm calling it, they call them oyster dishes. So it's all glass.
That's exactly what it looks like.
It looks like the inside of a shell. So it's a green iridescence. You can see the iridescence showing up. Thank you, sunlight. Yeah. The sunlight's actually coming in handy. So you can see the green the iridescence on the green. Now this is stained glass because there are some little tiny kerfluffles on the back. So you can see right there, the clear has come through. So the staining has worn off the bottom, and that's because it's only where it's sitting on the bottom, because it sits like this when you put it and have it out as a piece. I would get a little stand and set it up like this, mix it in with some seashells. This is another piece that's going for bank, but I've never seen before, ever seen. I don't know who made it. I don't know when it was made. I don't know where it was made. I just knew I had to have it because I thought it was pretty. And it is abstract and natural looking. And this guy here is 9.5 inches from longest point to longest point. So from over here to over here, 9.5 inches. It's just a really pretty piece. And it's super, super shallow. So if you're interested in, and it is a sagey celadon green color, just so it's coming off pretty good there. It's going to be $25, number 90. $25, number 90 for the green oyster glass bowl. It is gorgeous. Cannot wait. Like Claudia said, I'm buying pieces that I am in love with now, that I like, that I don't mind holding on to for a little bit, putting out, because John does like, it's just, where the heck did that vase go that you had downstairs? I said, oh, I sold that on whatnot. He's like, you've got to stop doing that to me, because I turned around and said, well, I told you I only adopt them for a short time, and then I sell them when I feel like I want to switch things up. That's how it works. Drive him nuts. That's okay. That's fine. Okay. And then up next, I have a set of 2 of these. All right. These are glass bake. This is, we were talking about it, the borosilicate glass. So I have a set of 2. I'm going to sell them together because they're the same pattern. Cannot find the pattern name on this guy. So
oh, well, look how fun it is.
Marigold. That's why I bought it. It made me happy. It was freezing cold outside, and I see this, and it's partner in crime. Oops, so this is going to be a 2 for lot. And they match, and they're marigold. And I thought they were awesome. I don't think they're really marigolds, but that's what they look like to me. So this one is a divided. So this one has the divider. This one is, oh, it doesn't say on the back. Crap. It does have a number, though, if that helps. J2352. That's what this one is. And it's really, I don't know, it's a fun piece. I thought for spring and everything. It's like 11.5 inches long, the bigger one. The smaller one is more of like, I see green bean casserole being served in this. So this is the smaller one. Does this say on the bottom? This one is 1 quart. So this one's 1 quart. No lids. I don't have lids. I'm sorry. But you get the set of 2, the smaller and the bigger divided dish, because that's almost the start of a whole set if you're looking for the whole set. $20 for the set of 2, number 91. $20. Number 91, and the transfer on this is fantastic. The marigolds are all in perfect shape, and there's no condition issues with them, which we love. Okay, it is a happy color, makes me happy. And those are Matsu.
I've never seen that pattern before. I love that.
I love it.
All right, I have this little satin Moon and Stars bowl, probably Ellie Smith. It is not part of a fairy lamp, because the fairy lamps have the little ledges pressed into them so that the top sits here. This is just the bowl. It is a bowl. Satin glass is so smooth. It's so smooth and just so pretty with the moon and stars. So this little bowl is going to be just $10. $10, number 20. And, oh, did you guys see my earrings? My niece bought those for me.
They're cute. I take mine off. They were pinching my ears too much.
I had these as a set, and now I'm going to offer them individually. So if you want to own a uranium glass, these do have, there's no chips or cracks, but they have had lots of use. I don't know if it's dishwasher damage or just over the years use, because, you know, these have existed since 1930. They are almost 100 years old. So they're going to be $5 a piece. So if you just want a single uranium drinking glass, this is the clearest of the 4. This one has the least wear damage, but no chips, no cracks on any of them. So they're perfectly fine to drink out of. I had them as water glasses. $5 a piece, number 12. $5 a piece, number 12. And those were mine.
Now, Kathy, was she talking about oyster plates, like Victorian oyster plates, where you would actually put oysters on them, or was she talking about like oyster-shaped stuff? Because they are 2 different things. I'm just curious, because I have never seen an oyster plate out in the wild, like a real Victorian, because they used to serve them up. Oysters used to be peasant food, and then the Victorians decided, oh, they're for food. And now they're food for us too. It's the way it works. Okay. And I had a piece of pink, and now I got a piece of red. So here's my little ruby. This is anchor hocking. It does have the anchor hocking. Oh, goodness. I washed my stuff, and the water just came out. I thought it was dry, and it wasn't. It does have the little anchor hocking logo right down there on the bottom. This is from their Ruby Red collection, which ran from the 30s to the 50s. This is their small flared bud vase. This is the 4.5-inch one. They came. Oh, okay. They came in different sizes. This is the smaller one. I love it. I do. I love it because it's
darling.
It's just like it's just a little pretty little guy. There's something about just pretty little tiny guys. Okay. That's awesome. I'm gonna have to check that out. Of course I found the Ivy Bowl. I found one with the sticker on it, and the person was asking a fortune for it. I was like, you do know that those are relatively common, right? Ain't no $25 on those. No, that's okay. I don't care if it's a sticker or not. This is marked. This is older. So this guy here is going to be $6, number 73. $6, number 73. No condition issues. And like I said, I am pretty positive that this is an older one. I've got to double check myself on the mark. And if you want it and you want to know the age, I will let you know by looking up the mark. I just didn't do that.
That color of red is my favorite in red glass. It's my favorite. I like it better than like the Wheaton dark.
Yeah.
Red. That's my favorite right there. The anchor hocking ruby. I love it.
Ruby. The ruby and the forest lines. There's nothing more Christmassy looking than having those out.
Yep.
They're the same line. It's just two different colors of the same line.
I agree.
All right. Next, and I've been holding on to this forever because I was hoping I would be able to put them together with their proper partners. I haven't found that out yet. So I bought them as a married set. I'm going to sell them as a married set. So this is a butter dish, a butter cloche is what I'm going to say. All right. This is the Madrid pattern right there. They always look like little stacked mustaches to me. That's always what I think of when I see the Madrid pattern. I am currently collecting the Madrid pattern, but I have it in clear. I don't have it in yellow.
I have it in blue. I'm collecting it in blue.
I want it in clear, and this is
I
yellow.
have that lid. I don't have the base to mine.
I don't. I've been holding on to this for like a year, saying I'm gonna find. You find Madrid, I'm gonna find it. I haven't found it yet. So I'm offering the both pieces together. They do kind of. They're two different patterns. They're two different companies, but it kind of works together. But it's not proper. It's not proper at all. So this is. I don't even remember what this one is now that I'm looking at it. It's a totally different pattern. It's got the tiny little flowers. I want to say.
I had that last week on the board.
Yes.
Was it last week? I can tell you the pattern. Hang on. Let me look it up.
Is it Sharon? Rose of Sharon? I don't remember. But I saw that. I was like, wait, that's the one Claudia had last week. This would have been a teacup, I think, saucer.
Well, maybe it was 2 weeks ago.
I thought it was last week, too.
Oh, it's 2 weeks ago. It's the Sharon. Yep.
Sharon.
It was Federal Glass, 1935 to 1939.
All right, so it was the Sharon. I thought it was. All right, so this is a Sharon base with a Madrid top. Now, they're both in excellent condition. There's no chips or cracks or anything. And these are actually harder to find and come by. This is the only one I've ever found in the wild. Well, not counting glass shows. I'm not going to count a glass show because I don't think that counts. But they do kind of sit on top of each other. Okay, you could put a nice little bit tiny in there, a little brie, or your butter, your herbed butter. But they don't go together. It's the way they were sold to me. So I'm going to sell them together as a married piece and pass them along to you if you're interested. $15, number 93. $15, number 93 for the set. And I'll hate you if you find the bottom to the Madrid thing. If you buy it and then you find the bottom, I will hate you for it but I want them in clear and I can't make this go away. So that was my last piece.
Well, thank you guys for hanging out with us today. Happy Valentine's Day tomorrow. Did we pick a subject for next week?
No, we were talking about it, but then we talked about other things. I was like, oh, should we do Amberina? What should we do next week? So we'll figure it out.
We'll figure something out for next week.
Yeah.
And keep in mind that probably in the next month we'll do another vocab, another, question what things are when the terms are used interchangeably. So if you want to know something, you can always drop it in the comments. You can email us. You can send us a message on Instagram. We're both pretty active there. So if there's something you're confused about and you're like, man, this does not make sense, ask us and we'll cover it. We will let everybody know.
Yeah. It was good to see you, Valerie. Yeah.
All right. And if you're watching on the replay and you want to know if something's still available, you can email each of us. Our emails are below our names. Don't forget to subscribe to both of us. Nikki's Whatnot, her Instagram, and her YouTube are all linked in the description box. If you have questions, a lot of times the description box will answer them. It says when I invoice, it has my return policy. It goes over a ton of stuff. It is very long. So, yeah, and she does pretty much the same thing. So there's a lot of information there. If you've never looked in the description box of a live, you might want to check that out and just see what all we've got listed there. It's a lot of information, but it is all of Nikki's links there. Also linked to my second channel. Oh, Kaz, I can answer that one. That's an easy one. They stopped using uranium during before World War II because they needed it for the war effort. And that is when they stopped using it. And I can't remember when they started.
It's been in use for a while. Yeah, it's been in use for a very long time. The color glass.
I think it was 1800s.
Yeah, because the Victorians love the color green. So green had to be like everywhere. Yeah.
All right. I think that was everything.
Well, what are you doing this week? Yeah. What are you doing this week?
Coffee chat and sale on Wednesday. Don't have a clearance sale this week, although I do need to do one more. And what about you? When are you on Whatnot?
I'm on Whatnot on Thursday night at 7 p.m. Thank you for everyone who showed up to the last glass one. You made it very successful. And this Thursday, I am doing Every Day's a Holiday. So I have a little bit from pretty much every holiday you can think of. A little bit more Christmas than anything else, because don't we all? So that'll be at 7 p.m. So I hope to see you there if you're interested in getting little holiday deals.
Kaz, they did start making uranium glass again in the late 60s, early 70s. And there are glass workers currently. There's one here in Ohio who is using uranium and making new uranium pieces, which I don't have a problem with as long as you're not passing them off as vintage.
No, sometimes they break down the uranium from older pieces that are broken or chipped or damaged. And I have 2 pieces myself that are newer uranium glass pieces.
Yeah, and then there's that really cool glass artist on Instagram who takes old Depression pieces and turns them into earrings and necklaces.
Yes.
Because I have a pair. So, all right. I think that was everything, right?
Yeah, that was everything. Thanks, Kraken.
Okay. We will see you guys in the chats. Have a great week, you guys.
Have a good week.